Do you have your global positioning system in place, your personal global positioning system? Well, if not, stay tuned so you can help yourself GPS to success. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, we inspire. And as you may be able to note from my brand new background, I've moved. I'm out of Chicago. Now I'm in the Houston area. But to get here, to get from Chicago to Houston, required some significant planning. It required use of my GPS. So let's go over the things that make someone successful, and you'll see the similarities to the way your GPS system works to the success formula. So let's get right to it. First thing is, you must have a definite destination. Because if you don't have a definite destination, what do you tell your GPS? Take me, okay? You need to know exactly where you're going. You have to have an objective, a clear, concise objective. My objective, obviously, going from Chicago to Houston. Okay, so GPS knows exactly where I want to go, the exact address I want to go to, in fact. Next thing is you have to be somewhat prepared. You have to have your engine in top shape. If you're going to drive your car from Chicago to Houston, you don't want to just go. You want to make sure that everything is in perfect working order, that your engine is perfect. I brought the car in a few days before I left to make sure that that I wasn't going to have any driving issues on the road, at least some that I was not prepared for. All right, so, and the same thing applies to you as an individual. Are you getting enough sleep? Is your mindset in the right place? Right? These are the things that we're talking about. So, and I go over how to do, in other videos we've done, how to get your mindset on track. But the point is, are you getting enough sleep? Are you ready to rock and roll? That's the key thing. That's the big issue. You have to be able to do that thing. And to do that, you want to have a fresh mind, you want to have enough sleep, and you want to have a positive mental attitude. The next thing is you want to plan the very first day. Notice I didn't say plan the entire trip step by step. Plan the first day. You have a definite objective your first day. You know what your big goal is, but what you've done is you've chunked it down into smaller components and you say, this is the component that I want to achieve on this day. That's what you do. That's what I did. So you plan your first day. Now, in taking a trip, as an example, from Chicago to Houston, Little Rock, Arkansas is just about in the middle. Not to mention the fact that there was a business associate that I wanted to meet up with in Little Rock when I was there. So it was perfect. It fit in perfectly. So my objective the very first day was to get myself to Little Rock, Arkansas, sleep over, and then get enough rest, get enough sleep, and be prepared to go the rest of the way to Houston. It's a pretty long trip. It's about a 16, 17-hour trip. That's if you don't stop for anything. All right? Plan the first day. Then your second day is tentative. Why? Because you have an objective which you want to reach, but you don't know if you're going to reach that. Or on the other hand, you might be going faster than accomplishing more than what you thought you could do. And if you're on a roll, you stay on the roll. One of the things that I thought about, I didn't actually do it, but I was close to doing it, was I arrived in Little Rock somewhere in the late afternoon, middle to late afternoon, and I was thinking to myself, I'll have dinner with my business associate, and then I'll give myself a head start and I'll go a little further down the highway. But after we had dinner and everything, I kind of decided that I was a little bit tired, and I stayed in Little Rock, so I kept that, and I had the next day planned, which was get up at a certain time, get in the car, follow the directions of the GPS. You got to synchronize your timing and the location. What does the GPS do? As an example, it'll say to you, in 1,000 feet, turn left on Interstate 57 from either of the two left lanes. So it's telling you what you want to do, it's telling you where you want to do it, how you want to go about doing it, what the time frame is, what the distance frame is. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you see, are you doing that in your personal life? Are you saying to yourself, I'm going to accomplish this, I'm going to do it this way, I'm going to do it on this time frame, I'm going to do it from this direction? Does that make sense? Something you have to do. Set a block of time for yourself for your work. As an example, once you turn on to, in this case, I-57, the GPS says to me, remain on I-57 for 151 miles. Okay, that's a pretty good hunk of change that I'm going to be in that car. So what can I do? I can put the car, if the highway's empty, on cruise control, so I can cruise, so I can, keep my focus, but at the same time, not super intense, because I'm, focusing on the road. I'm just doing my thing, moving along. But I know I have that block of time to do that. Now, on the business side of the balance sheet, you want to set aside a block of time. Typically, that's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of anywhere from 90 minutes to 3 hours, depending upon your particular stamina. In the beginning, it might be a shorter period of time. Later on, it might be longer. If you're on a roll and things are kicking, you might want to be, towards the high end of the 3 hours. But once you get to that 3 hour point, you pretty much have spent what you're going to spend. So you want to give yourself somewhat of a break. All right? Give yourself somewhat of a break. But before you give yourself the break, make sure that you know where your next starting line is going to be when you get restarted. As an example, when you're on the road and you stop at a gas station to get a bite to eat or do what you have to do at the gas station, once you get back into your car, I know exactly where I'm going to go. There's no thinking. I've got my starting line all set. Same thing works on the business, personal side of the balance sheet. You take your break, but you know where you're going to pick it up and where you're going to get started, where your next starting line is. It's also essential that you work as a team. And that's whether you're working on the personal side with the Infinite Mind, or you're working with your work team at your business, or whether you're working with the woman on the GPS. All right, how does she tell you things? All right, take your next right, or in 2 miles you're going to take this exit. Everything is done in a very, very calm voice. Why? Because they know what they're doing. There's no dubiousness in their direction. You know exactly what you're going to be doing. They express it that way. They do it that way for a purpose. Now, on the personal side, on the business side of the balance sheet, do you do the same thing? All right? You don't want to be Mr. T. So, like, as an example, if I'm sure I'm not the only person that's ever missed a turn on using the GPS doesn't come on like Mr. T and say, "Hey, fool, you missed the turn." Okay? It says redirecting, or we're going to reassess, and give you more directions to, we have to make a change in the plan because you're missing it. But very, very calmly, okay, we're reassessing. All right, so you get to the next street, take a left, make a U-turn, whatever, okay? You have to be exactly that way for yourself, okay? If you make a mistake, if you run into a detour, if you make a wrong turn, or if the people that you're leading, the people in your work group, make a wrong turn, always the calm voice. Start with the calm voice. That's the way you want to be. So you're resetting to the next destination. Now, one of the things that happens, and this happened to me on this trip from Chicago to Houston, unexpected slowdowns or detours with an explanation. I'm driving, I'm approaching the greater Houston area, and all of a sudden, boom, 9 million cars, they're doing some sort of construction, 9 zillion cars are there, and it's going to a crawl, and I'm thinking to myself, I could walk faster than I'm going to get here. And I was like, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours away. It's like I'm so close yet so far. Here's all this terrible traffic. What am I going to do now? And then the GPS comes on, and the lady says, there's a major traffic jam of about 20 minutes. Go and we're going to have an alternate route, and it will be the fastest way to get to your destination. Wow, I didn't even know the GPS did that. All right, it said, hey, there's a traffic issue. I'm going to take you on a different route. It's in a detour route, and here's what was really amazing about it. I got off like that highway exit, and it said turn right on this street, turn right on that street, and it had me going like down these side streets, and you would think that to avoid all this traffic that the local people would know these little shortcuts, but they didn't. I was the only car taking that route around, and I took the route around, and I ran into a little traffic, and it told me you're going to run into traffic because we're going to be 5 more minutes, and then we'll be back on track. And I couldn't believe the GPS knew all that stuff. It was fabulous. It was phenomenal. And I had the faith to follow the directions. You're going to find in life and in a road trip that you're going to run into periods of a lot of traffic, or you're going to run into periods of a major detour. Also remember that when you take the route around, when you take a different path, once again, we're divided up, 95% unsuccessful, 5% successful. So don't expect to see a lot of the 95%ers on the 5% path, because they're not going to be there. That's what makes you a 5%er. Does that make some sense? All right. So anyway, the key thing is, if you have a mentor that's giving you good direction, have some faith. Follow the direction. And when you run into a detour, find yourself a new starting line. Do you see how my little trip it wasn't so little, my little trip from Chicago to Houston is very much like the success formula? All of the different factors are involved. All right, I thought I would share that with you. It's fresh in my mind. And always remember, hey, don't ration the passion, fashion the passion. I'm Eli's dad.